I know realtors try to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and know everything there is to know about everything to help everybody, right? And that's really what the point of this video session is about, is to get you guys as much information as possible so that you can direct your customers. You're not supposed to be the expert on the 50-50 rule or anything, but know enough to where you can help guide them to the right people so they can make intelligent decisions. And if we help them make intelligent decisions, then we can help them decide whether they want to buy right away, sell right away, do all kinds of things, because ultimately that is our career. It's real estate. When people buy and sell, then we make money. If they don't, then we're great counselors. So we try to have that nice balance in there. And I got Gloria out of bed this morning to come and help you guys
I was out of bed. I've been up since 4 myself, but
Yeah. So there's a lot of us who've been in the business over 30 years, we always heard about the 50-50 rule. We have a basic understanding of it, but there's a lot of nuances to it and that. So it's 9 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to let Gloria kind of take over, do your thing, and then raise your hands if you have questions. And Gloria and Joanna and myself, we can kind of field them through there, or you can use the chat box as well. All right.
Okay. So for those of you in Orlando, this may or may not apply to you. The 50-50 rule doesn't really change. But what changes is what city and county government can do. So currently, I'm going to talk about Lee County because that's what I know. So currently, if you go to the property appraiser's website, Matt Caldwell has put what they call a just value letter on that site. And the just value letter supposedly has a multiplier of 20%. So he's added 20% value to your structure. And remember that the 50-50 rule is only about structure. No other improvements count. No pool, no lawn, no cage, no enhancements of any kind. We're talking about the walls and the roof, the structure itself. So many people are looking at that figure and going, well, I can't do anything if my structure is so low in value. So it's been recommended that people get private appraisers. Now, I've talked to several private appraisers. It's running about $800 to $900 an appraisal. And they are very satisfied with the results they're getting in raising someone's value. Having said that, there is some discussion as to whether we can go 30% above value. Matt Caldwell, who is our property appraiser here in Lee County, believes that he has the authority to do the 20%, but we don't know where that authority came from or if that's going to be challenged. So the next part of the 50-50 rule in Lee County that is of interest is that when you're calculating your structure, so let's say your home is at 200 and you can do 100 in improvements. So then off that 100, if you're in the city of Cape Coral, comes the 5 years. So anything that you've improved with a permit in the last 5 years comes off of that 100. Now, the county, as of Tuesday, went to 1 year. The city of Cape Coral is introducing an ordinance next Wednesday to bring it back to 0. So there is no consistency there either. But either way, if you've done permitted improvements to the structure in the last 5 years, you're going to be able to negate that or wipe that out, whether it's 1 year or 0 years, depending on where you live. That will give you some additional money that you can add to your value to rebuild your home. The biggest question we have going, and we don't have any direct answers, is FEMA. So new flood maps, and I'm hoping that all of you have them, the new flood maps are adopted as of November 17th. And you must build back according to the new flood maps. So I'm going to use my house as an example. I'm at a 6.2 elevation. I am at an AE8 flood zone, according to the new maps on the 17th, which means even if I repair my building, I am less than the floodplain. I have to go up another foot to be able to qualify for flood insurance. So if I just take my home and go, you know what, I'm just going to put my drywall back, fix my house and move in. FEMA is saying that they will not insure that. When your flood insurance comes due next year, they will not insure that because you don't meet the standard. So what do we do about that? Well, there are companies in our area that are talking about raising homes. So if those of you that can remember, and I know JJ will, the Midpoint Bridge, where we moved a lot of homes to build a road and build a bridge. So they're saying that you can elevate your home, put a new slab underneath, and then put your home back down. And that is easier than taking the roof off, raising your flooring, and putting a new roof on. So the question that we all have and that FEMA has not been able to answer is, what if we don't raise our property value up, our building structure up, but we improve? What is our penalty? According to FEMA, our penalty is huge. So for those people that build back and don't follow the 50-50 rule, just say, I don't care, I'm just going to put my home back because I have nowhere to go. If you do that, you as a realtor are going to be very obligated when you go to sell it. Make sure that you put in some sort of a rider, something that protects you, that says this was Hurricane Ian. You don't know what's been done to the home, and there's no way we can guarantee that you're ever going to get flood insurance. So if you don't have a mortgage, many people are taking that shot, because right now people are finding out that their insurance didn't cover them to the extent that they wanted anyway. So they're just going to go without flood insurance. If you have a mortgage, that's a different question. And for those of you in Cape Coral, we went from 47,000 acres in the flood zone to now 51,000 acres in the flood zone. So people are going to be getting letters that say, oh, you weren't in a flood zone, but now you are. And by the way, you didn't qualify for a mortgage with the flood zone information, but now you're going to need flood insurance. So we don't know if those people are going to be able to afford their flood insurance, because we don't know if the rates are going to change now that we have Hurricane Ian. So there are so many unknowns. So the only known on the 50-50 rule is the structure value, and that you can get a private appraiser for. I hope that helps you in some way.
It does. Anybody have any specific questions at this point about it? Who understands what the 50-50 rule basics are? Maybe you could cover that, Gloria. We've got some new residents to Florida.
The 50-50 rule basically says that when you are looking at your structure, that you can only do so much repair to your home within a certain time frame, and it is 50% of the structure value. That's why it's called the 50-50 rule. Now,
do they take that from the assessed value off the property appraiser site?
Value letter that the property appraiser has put out. And that's what I was telling you, the multiplier is what they call it. According to Matt Caldwell, he had the legal authority to add 20% to the just value letter. Now, hopefully he did have that authority, and that is what they did. Now, there is discussion that the cities and the counties can override that and increase that. But we have been told absolutely not, that nobody touches the FEMA rule. So we are going with the just value that the property appraiser has. Now, I don't know if in Orange County or Volusia County, if your property appraisers have done that, because you haven't seen quite the damage that we have. So it's going to be different for each county, but basically that's what the 50-50 remodel rule is. And it's been in effect all these years for people who buy older homes and they want to remodel them. Remember, anything they can do without a permit. So drywall doesn't need a permit. Kitchens don't need a permit. So things that don't need a permit are going to go unnoticed and unrecorded. But in the overall scheme of things, the floodplain is still the #1 economic driver. If you're not where you need to be height-wise, then will you be able to be insured? And that is the #1 question today.
Is that before, when you paid cash, you were allowed to like assume the existing owner's flood policy? How does that, has that changed now?
You assume the existing owner's flood policy, but when it comes to renewal, they have the right to say, hold on a minute, you're supposed to be at a different flood elevation.
Okay.
So if you're not selling in a flood zone, then you don't have to worry about it. And if you're selling in a flood zone in the newer areas, most of those homes are in the proper flood zone. Make sure you have the new flood maps, the FEMA flood maps. There's a new one. If you go to my Facebook page, there's 2 links. One is Cape Coral map only. The other is a really interesting one. It's a grid, and then you have to hone in on where your little neighborhood is, and you open that and expand it, and that will show you what the new floodplain is for your neighborhood. If you go to myfloodsmart.gov, they do not have the new values in yet.
Yay. Yeah, we'll put
Because it
those.
doesn't go into effect till the 17th, so I'm sure they're waiting to adjust their numbers.
Right. We'll put those links, or we'll download the maps if we can and put them in the flood file in app files for you guys as well. There's some good information there too. I don't know if you had seen this, Gloria. Fort Myers Beach has it, fmbgov.com. They've got a really good sheet on it. It's already uploaded in app files in there, but it goes into a little bit more detail about the 50-50 rule. And if you're selling in Fort Myers Beach, those paragraphs that are specific to the beach will help. If not, everything pretty much applies everywhere else.
Yeah, it does. And it's pretty standard. The difference is going to be that multiplier and that 5-year rule or 3-year rule or 1-year rule. That's going to be where the big difference is in each city, county, and municipality. To make sure what they do. See, now in Cape Coral, we have a community rating system of 5. And so we get a 25% discount on our flood insurance because we are a city that is doing mitigation. So we were trying to go to a 4, which would save you 35%. But now that we're going to change our policy on the 5-year rule, we're going to lose a few points. So we're still trying to get there, but we're not there yet. So if you're in a different city, you might want to check to see what your community rating standard, it's called the CRS, is for your community, and make sure that your flood insurance policies all have that discount on them, because it's pretty substantial for us.
Do you have, I guess this is a very personal question. Are you through the National Flood Insurance Program, or do you have a private carrier for your flood insurance? I'm wondering how they're reacting.
I have American Bankers Life, and of course, my home is not rebuildable. So mine is a FEMA, a National Flood Insurance Program policy. My nephew and our building, we have private flood insurance. And I called the private flood insurance company to see if they would insure my home. And they said, we follow FEMA guidelines. So I don't know what the difference is, but they follow FEMA guidelines as well. So I asked her specifically, and I don't raise my home. She said, we will not insure it. So that's that, right?
Well, there you go. Well, it's interesting that we have to remember it's the structure, not the pool, not the lawn,
only, yes.
Not the big tree, all that.
No, it's none of that. And that's where everybody says, oh, my pool's worth this, my dock, my land. It's not. It's only the 4 walls and the roof.
That's huge.
Difficult. Yeah. And there are, like I said, there are plenty of appraisers out there doing a ton of work. And the bottom line is still, if it needs to be raised, then what?
Raised as an RAIS or RAZ.
Yeah, raised, that's right. Like in my case, it's RAZ, but you know, but in most people's case, hopefully it's going to be raised. So I don't know yet what all the rules are. We're having our meeting on Wednesday to determine what our 5-year rule is going to be, or is it 3 years or no years? We don't know yet.
We are very lucky to have a realtor, Gloria, on the city council, and she's like the first family real estate really in Cape Coral. How old are you? 5 when you came here?
9. So
9.
But at least you're going to have another realtor on the Cape Coral City Council. So that
yes, we will.
And that is important for all of us because our industry is being challenged left and right at every angle. And so it is extremely important that we have representation on our board.
Yeah, and that goes for every city, every municipality where you guys are at. If you're not involved in your local association or your local community, you know, there's all kinds of volunteer committees that you can get on within the cities and really get to learn what's going on inside the municipality. So that's a really good thing.
Yeah, we're changing the dynamics of the way you do business, and not just FAR and NAR, but everyone is. And so if you don't know what your city and your county are doing, you better be involved.
There you go. Oh, we do have a question in the chat. It said, do you have an estimate to elevate your home with a new
No, I
slab?
have no idea. I think it's going to be independent of every property. I can give you a phone number for Mike DeVito, who seems to be doing that if you'd like.
Is he DeVito Construction, I think?
He used to be Baywood Construction.
Oh, that's right. Good gosh.
Yeah, and now he has many other companies, but he did say I could give his number out. It's 239-728-8234.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, Mike, the DeVito family and Baywood, they've been around for 1,000 years.
Yes,
They know the area. They know Cape Coral and Fort Myers. So it's probably a good place to get started, because that's when you're doing your counseling, and your customers are, well, should I raise the house all the way down? Should I raise it up?
Yeah.
What do I need to do? What do I need to do?
Yeah, and if you're raising your elevation, then your 50-50 rule even changes, because now you've raised your elevation. So they think that they can make more improvements. So again, it's surprising to me that with all the disasters we've had around the world, that they don't have answers, because it's not the first rodeo for them. But I don't know, maybe every rodeo is different. I don't know, but they don't have our answers.
So it's a learn as you go. And as we learn things, it's really great if we can communicate with each other and just open up and share. And I'm sure we'll have more little Zoom classes like this as we go, because like you said, it's something new for all of us. And it's ever changing. I mean, Fort Myers Beach was totally devastated. Their rules are totally out the window.
They have homes falling as we speak. So they're very unstable. I can give you an email for the Cape Coral people, if that helps.
That would be great.
For our floodplain manager, and his name is Wyatt Daltrey, and that would be W Daltrey, DALTRY @capecoral.gov. And they actually have a packet of information, a whole construction package, if you're getting ready to rebuild your home. It's very cumbersome. We've had a lot of complaints about how cumbersome it is, but he is the guy. So he is our floodplain manager.
Yeah, don't call with general questions. Call him with something very specific. Have a lot of block and address when you're calling.
Right.
Yeah, and that's great. Thank you. I think that's going to be very different for us there. And I'll there's an appraiser that will also come in, and I'll write that down, who will come in and talk about what the as-is value of your house is and that kind of thing. If people,
just about any property appraiser that will come in and do a structure only. I've been communicating with Mark Gizzy, so it's appraisals. But I mean, every property appraiser, I understand, is doing it. Must be the new way to make money, the way I look at it. So
yeah, you just got to be careful who you're using, like you said.
Yes, and remember, it's a private opinion, so you're going to have to get that approved once you get that private opinion.
Right, because I think lenders are looking at that too now. Those of you that have where there's existing structures now, what have you got? You've got to deal with your lenders as well.
Looking at you more careful now.
Exactly. Yeah. Matt Simmons. He's with Maxwell Hendry and Simmons. He does a lot of commercial and residential appraisal. Yeah. He's one to give a chat to.
Right.
And I can give you his number if you guys want it. 239-337-0555. I think in 15, 20 minutes, you've gotten more information than you probably have gotten in the last month from everybody. So I'm grateful to you, Gloria, for coming and sharing.
All right. If you need anything else, just email me at gloria@rassorealty.com and I'll see what I can do.
I know you'll come up with other questions the minute you hang up the phone from this class. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. You guys
thank you very much. All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.